Hey guys, welcome to our channel. My name is Kevin and in this video we will talk about the most common mistakes to avoid in your B1 test. Before we get into it, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon so you will get notified whenever we post a new video. Now, let's get into the video. So let's understand what these mistakes are and then later on we will explain how to avoid them. The mistakes include number 1. Too short answers. Number 2. Silence. Number 3. Not understanding the question. Number 4. Parroting the question. Number 5. Poor pronunciation. And lastly, number 6. Asking questions. Now, let's get into them one by one and explain how to avoid them. Too short answers. Giving a very short answer is a very common mistake that a lot of people make. They do it so they don't have to speak a lot and they can avoid any potential mistake. But it actually gives a negative impression to the examiner. The examiner might think that you don't know much about the topic or that specific question. This is a really bad thing, as the examiner might not treat you well because he will think that you either don't know English language very well or that you did not prepare for the test really well. In order to avoid this mistake, try giving detailed but not too long answers to all the questions. Try to explain it with confidence, such that you know a lot about the topic. Also make sure to give the exact appropriate answer. Avoid talking about anything unnecessary. Just give a straight to the point answer, but make it a bit long. This will give the impression that you know a lot about the topic and that you also know English very well. After all, that's what the test is all about. Silence. Another mistake that is very common among students is the awkward silence in the conversation. Not every examiner is the same, but for the most part, examiners really don't like this kind of silence in between the conversation. It gives a very bad image and the examiner may think that you forgot something or that you can't speak fluently. The silence shows your lack of confidence and it can also make you nervous. The examiner might think that you have just memorized some answers and that you don't actually understand the meaning of the sentences. In order to avoid this mistake and give a good impression, try to avoid the long gaps between words or sentences. Your words should just flow and there should be no gaps or sudden breaks between the words. This will give the impression that you understand English well and it shows your confidence and your understanding of the English language. This shows that you have not just memorized some answers, but that you actually understand the question and answer it accordingly. This mistake is a bit hard to avoid, so we suggest you practice it with someone before the actual test or just try to record yourself and listen back to find out where the silence is. This is a great practice to avoid this mistake because it requires trial and error. Not understanding the question. The next mistake that a lot of students commonly make and you should absolutely avoid is not understanding the question. This is a deadly mistake because if you don't understand the question, how can you answer it properly? It also makes you look nervous and gives off a bad image. Understanding the question is half of the conversation. So you should make sure that you listen to it carefully and understand it completely. Another form of this is giving irrelevant or wrong answers. If you give an irrelevant answer which does not align with the question, then it means that you did not understand the question or that you don't know the exact answer. So you should always try to avoid this mistake. In order to avoid this mistake, what you can do is simply ask the examiner to repeat the question. For example, if the examiner asks you a question that you did not understand, you can say something like, "Sorry, can you repeat the question please?" or "Sorry, what was that?" By doing this, you can easily avoid this mistake and it also makes you look confident. Parroting the question. This is another very common mistake that most students unintentionally make. It basically means repeating the question before giving the answer. A lot of people have this habit of repeating other people's words, which is totally fine, but it can get annoying very quickly, and some people really hate it. You never know what annoys the examiner, so you should try to avoid anything that may annoy him. This is especially bad in answering questions, as it disturbs the flow of the conversation and breaks the conversation. In order to avoid this mistake, you just have to practice it with someone and also try to avoid it in any conversation so you can get rid of this habit. This may take some time, but it can really help, so you should definitely do it. Poor pronunciation. Having poor pronunciation is also very common among students, as English is not their mother language, and they have difficulty in pronunciation of many words that are slightly difficult. Bad pronunciation can ruin your conversation with the examiner, so you should definitely improve it. It annoys the examiner and he might not be able to understand your words properly, which can have a negative impact on your result. So to avoid that from happening, you have to improve your pronunciation. Luckily, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that can help you a lot with that. But this is going to require a lot of practice and patience, as it will improve only with continuous practice over time. So don't worry if you have terrible pronunciation, because you can always improve it. You just have to put in the work and the time. Asking questions. Another mistake people make commonly is to ask questions. They do so to show their confidence and their expertise in the English language, but it can be deadly. Sure, you can certainly ask the examiner to repeat the question or maybe something else, but you should not ask anything unnecessary. Think about it this way: if someone asks you a question, what should be your response? Obviously, to answer the question, right? Just like that, you are there to answer the questions, not to ask them. So make sure you focus on answering the question the most. I am not saying you should not ask anything and just stay silent. I am just saying that you should try to avoid any unnecessary or irrelevant questions as much as possible. For example, asking the examiner what his date of birth is. And there you have it. Those are the mistakes you should avoid in your B1 test. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, then make sure to give it a like and also subscribe for more. If you have any questions, then make sure to leave them in the comments down below. We will try our best to answer them. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.